increase in free and reduced lunch population. And the third is continuing to innovate in teaching and learning. For student achievement, I'm very excited that we had a very high APR this year of 96.4%. APR is annual performance rating. It takes into account academic achievement, subgroup achievement, career and college readiness, attendance, and graduation rate. And as I mentioned earlier, our graduation rate is 95.9% from 2016. So the challenge there is just to keep going and keep having excellent student achievement. As far as funding, there's always changes in funding at the state, local, state, and national level. As we know, at the state and national level, there's the talk about charters, which would erode public funding. There's also talk about vouchers, which would erode public funding. And third, our increase in free and reduced lunch population in 2005, our free and reduced lunch population, just to make sure I give you an accurate number, was 33% in 2005, and now we have 48% in 2016. So free reduced lunch is a measure of students living in poverty. And so we have unique needs there as far as giving those students the education that they need in the circumstances that they live in. As far as district growth, we're looking at 130 students per year for the next 3 years. That was the demographic study that we've mentioned, and very pleased that we had the 82% voter approval for our last bond election in August of 2016 to address some of that growth with a new elementary school, renovations to North Kansas City High School, and establishment of 2 6th grade centers and the feeder system. And then the third priority is innovating in teaching and learning. We always need to continue to look at what is new in education and how we might innovate in that area. Really excited. Our district presented at the National School Board Association meeting about our extended calendar that we have at Crestview and Linwood Elementary Schools. Terry, our board president, did an excellent job along with some other administrators in our district on presenting that at the national level. That was a very full conference room, listening and learning about that program. And so that's just one example of how we're innovating in our school district. The Northland Innovation Center is another, and I could go on and on, but those are very exciting things that we have going on in our district, and I'm really excited about the possibilities in the future with further innovation in teaching and learning. I think I answered everything.
Yes, you did. Joe?
Thank you. The biggest challenge I see is already been talked about tonight was when we were the first question on the charter schools, and as Dixie mentioned, we want to work with lawmakers to try our best to keep charter schools out of our situations. And as I discussed, if they do come into play, the best thing you want to do is make your choice the best choice. I see that as the biggest challenge. As far as an agenda and top priorities for myself, the key thing I have going for me is, my experience in my 25 years as a corporate manager and leadership, and I would come in, learn, listen to all the previous board members, the administration, the teachers, and look at current projects, activities, and everything going on in this team, and have to build my own priorities at this time. I do not have a built-in agenda coming into the situation.
Terry?
Well, on the sheet I gave you, I talked about the most important issues. The number one issue to me today and in the future, and as far as I can see, will be pay for teachers. It's very difficult for the public sector to compete with the private sector. My concern is the gap between teacher pay and private sector pay is growing. If we're paying somebody 3% a year, say a raise, and Cerner's paying somebody 3% a year raise over a lifetime, you're talking a whole lot of money. And especially in critical areas, needs physics teachers, math teachers, technology, It's very difficult. Somebody has to be way, way committed and called to the profession, so to speak. And we do have those teachers, and we're all grateful for them. But I remember a legislator telling me one time that, well, teachers don't go into it for the pay. My reply back was, well, I can talk to you about a lot of people who did not go into it because of the pay. So that's the big gorilla in the room. The gap is going to grow, and I think we need to be more aggressive about informing the public about that gap and working to at least get in the ballpark in terms of being competitive compared to other professions. The three things I would be doing, out of that, if you can't compete in pay, there's areas where you can compete, and that's in the kind of culture that you build. And in my lifetime as a management consultant, one of the philosophies that I use with my clients always was, decisions should be made at the lowest possible level. The people doing the work know more about the work than anybody else in the organization. And so I think we need to expand on, I know we've started it, and site-based decision-making, which means that each school has a lot of control over the decisions they make. And I also think the classroom teacher needs to have the flexibility to respond to the individual needs of each student and be flexible and work one-to-one based on what they need and what they should have in terms of their academics. As most people work with, you know, I constantly push academic rigor. I mean, one day in my mind I have a vision that AP will be the baseline. Advanced placement courses will be the baseline, not advanced placement. That'll be where we are with all our kids. I have a goal that, I was talking to a board member the other day that by the 4th grade, 100% of our students should be reading at the 4th grade level. And they said, well, why not every grade? I said, well, I'm certainly for that. So I think that's critical because what we know when kids are learning K through 3, that's where it all begins. That's where you get them or lose them. And so I think that's where we ought to be putting a lot of our resources. If it's extra reading teachers, whatever it takes, that's where our focus should be. The other place, and the district, to their credit, is already working on it, but we seem to have a lag when they hit middle school. We don't know if it's hormones or curriculum or whatever, but they're working hard on what can we do to up the rigor and get the academic achievement that we'd like to see out of middle school kids. So that's the second place. And basically, the being fiscally responsible, the core is the teachers, and that doesn't mean the support people aren't important, but they are in a support role, and that's the place where the money needs to go in order to compete in a world that's driven by success that's determined by how much you make a lot of times, not by what you do. So we need to work hard on finding the best and the brightest.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions here that are more of a mix between statements and questions together. So I would encourage audience members after the forum to talk to the candidates and ask those questions. I'm going to wrap up the question and answer part of the forum.
I think do you have a question? I mean, I don't know what your procedure is, but there's somebody with a question.
If you do have further questions, you can talk with the candidates afterwards. They'll be here to talk with. What we're going to do now is I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes to talk about yourself again, give a closing argument, anything you want to say about yourself, and we'll start with Joe.
Thank you. I think we covered everything here today. I want to thank everybody for your time. All my information is on here. I would be the new guy in the situation, and I would learn, and hopefully the board would become better for that. I do also want to thank everybody for sitting through my nervousness. One of the reasons that I actually chose to do this and run for the board, which from a personal achievement situation is, I actually applied for a vice president job about 9 months ago, and I narrowly missed out on the opportunity. And one of the reasons was I had no public speaking experience. So even if I don't make it to the board, the experience still tonight
Terry?
I'll add my thanks to you for coming out tonight on a dreary day, dreary evening. I would just point you to the sheet you were given, and when I said I want to build on and increase the progress made in the 6 years, everybody that knows me knows that my proudest moment, pardon me, I didn't realize I'm still emotional about this issue. But anyway, I was a leader in working toward more days for Crestview and Winwood. And when I get discouraged, I go to bed at night knowing that 1,100 kids are better off. Sorry. I was also a leader and a strong supporter of ADIT. Dr. Ward had a lot to do with that as well. For those, that's advancement via individual determination. It's for kids that are kind of in the middle or kind of working toward wanting to go to college. They mostly will be first-generation college students. Our track record there is amazing. One of the things I really like about that is they're taught a thing called Cornell Notes, how to take notes. And that is being spread throughout the entire district, regardless of whether or not they're in the ADIT program. And we also now have over 1,200 kids in that particular program. I was supportive of the performance maintenance contract. I was one of the people who wanted to see a natural gas fleet. Performance maintenance contract, by the way, saves us 34% on our bills. It is environmentally friendly. The natural gas fleet, I think we're still the only one in the country with essentially an all natural gas fleet. We have a few buses diesel to take kids on long trips, but essentially it's all natural gas, and that's environmentally friendly and saves money as well. And I certainly take a lot of pride in the academic progress. One of my habits when I was on the board was to wander in the buildings and just kind of say thank you to teachers and chat with people and go in the lunchroom, watch how things are going, and every now and then you walk in the teacher's lounge and there's professional development teams called, I think, and they're working on their own lunchtime, they're working on how can we improve Bill, how can we improve Susan, how can we improve Fred, and working hard to get that academic performance up. So I appreciate the efforts that our teachers give. They're certainly underpaid and overworked, and I'm grateful for them every day.
Thank you, Terry. Dixie?
It's been an honor and a privilege to serve on the school board for 5 years. I'm very passionate about education, I'm passionate about kids, and I'm passionate about how great education can improve people's lives. Summary of again, as I'm an incumbent candidate, I've served on the board for 5 years. I currently serve as vice president. I've been a very involved parent in our school district for 20 years. I've served on many committees. I've been a youth friend and Girl Scout leader in our district. You can learn more about me on my candidate page, Citizens for Dixie Youngers for School Board, my website, dixieyoungers.com, or my Twitter account. I believe you just search my name and you'll find me. I'm pleased to be endorsed by the North Kansas City NEA, National Education Association. I consider that a tremendous honor to be endorsed by them. I feel I'm a highly qualified candidate for the school board because of my current experience on the board, my experience as a parent in the district, and my engineering MBA degree, which focused on making organizations more efficient and effective. We have a lot of high-paying STEM jobs in our community that are unfilled, and I do advocate for STEM curriculum in our school district to help address this need. The school board position takes a lot of time. School board members attend activities in our community, including school programs and community programs, including breakfast, lunch, dinners, activities that our district is holding. I have the time, fortunately, to dedicate to service as a school board member. There's a lot of work to read and understand the board agenda prior to meetings. We research a lot of information. You ask questions before, during, and after the meetings. And all of that takes time. We've just spent some time in Denver at the National School Board Association meeting. There's meetings with the Missouri School Board Association. There's meetings with cooperating school districts. And in addition, school board members educate other people and advocate for public education. And all of these things take a lot of time, and I have that time, fortunately, to devote to a board position. We are very fortunate to have a high-performing district, and I'm interested in continuing to govern the school district to maintain and enhance that excellence. That excellence is a result of amazing teachers, support personnel, administrators, students, parents, taxpayers, and our overall school community. I would be honored to receive your vote on Election Day, Tuesday, April 4th, 2017, to serve another 3-year term on the board. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Dixie. And thank the three of you for coming out tonight. Whether you're good at public speaking or not, as Joe talked about, it's not easy to just come up here and talk in front of people, no matter what the crowd is. So I appreciate that. Now it's my turn to give some stuff away, if you'll let me. First,